Kinds of race drivers around the world. Now, drivers who have competed here use other words to describe this place, some of which we can't use on television. Some we can, like intimidating, unforgiving, or even downright frightening. These black marks on the wall sit as badges of honor to all those who have come here over the years to compete. Today, 42 drivers, Busch Grand National Series drivers, will compete in the Dura Lube 200. Seventh and eighth, Ricky Craven, only the second Busch start of the year for him, and Randy LaJoie, who's been running awfully well in the points but had trouble at Nashville.
Jeff Purvis, as I said, with broken ribs, started in row 5 alongside Dick Triple in the Dura Lube car.
And in row 6, we find Hermie Sadler and Bobby Labonte. Bobby Labonte, of course, winning last week at Nashville.
Back in row 7, Kevin LePage, good beginning in 1996 for that driver, and Johnny Rumley driving for Don Beverly.
And back in row 8, Michael Waltrip and Stevie Reeves.
Row number 9, we find Glenn Allen Jr. and Terry Labonte, also a winner this year.
Back in row 10, DC, Derek Cope and Todd Bodine, a new sponsor in that car. We'll tell you more about it later.
Curtis Martin, row 11, and row 11 alongside Chad Little.
And row number 12, we find Tim Feedable, who sat on the pole here a year ago, and Nathan Bucky.
Feedable had the old track record, 30 guys broke it. There's Mike Wallace and Phil Parsons. Boy, 2 back-to-back third-place finishes.
Dennis Setzer and Jeff Fuller in row 14. Fuller, get to see a good qualifying.
Row 15, we find Rodney Combs and Jason Keller.
Back in row 16, Steve Grissom, who won at Daytona, and Stanton Barrett, the impressive young driver from Atlanta.
Row 17, Doug Hevron and Jim Bound.
And row 18 is Larry Pearson, way back in the field, but watch for him to come up through the field, and Jeremy Mayfield.
Joe Bessie and former series champion Chuck Bound in the car number 50 in row 19.
Row 20, Mike Dillon, the Detroit gasket car alongside Bobby Dotter.
Of course, these drivers had to take provisionals to get in the field. Patty and Luis starting back there in row 21, along with the car number 85 of Shane Hall.
So 42 cars will start. A number went home. Here are some of the guys who missed the field, did not qualify. Tommy Houston, Buckshot Jones, rookies like Mike Laughlin and Greg Clark, Randy Porter, Lester Lesneski, and Pete Orr. So those cars missing the field failed to qualify here for the field of 42. Take a look at the cars that have gone home. That's how competitive this series is. 82 cars in 6 events this year have gone home. 41 went home a year ago, and folks, that is how tight this racing is.
And Ned, I thought it was bad last year when 41 cars were sent home. This year, it's exactly double last year.
There's a lot of competition out there.
And we're riding along with the in-car camera, the roof camera for Dale Jarrett. Has 2 wins here at Darlington. In fact, he won this race back in 1991, the spring event, the other win coming in the fall. And he has started 28th and 6th. He is one of those drivers who started outside the top 10, as Ned mentioned earlier, and has gone to victory lane. We'll come back with a green flag in the Dura Lube 200 at Darlington after this. In Darlington, South Carolina, Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, Kyle Petty, Bill Weber, and yours truly, Jerry Punch, bringing you Busch Series action as Jeff Green in the Teresa Earnhardt-owned Goodrich Chevrolet will lead him down to the green flag.
Will take that spot away, and there comes Ricky Craven. Alongside, there's Dale Jarrett, the 32 car. Racing inside the Band-Aid Ford as he follows Ricky Craven down the front stretch. And Craven trying to get on the inside of David Green.
Yeah, he's on the move. He got alongside Jarrett coming off the turn 2, made the pass for 6th place. Now trying to take another position from David Green. He's followed right here coming off the turn, and look at him go on the inside of David Green.
2 car.
David Green. 2 car. 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 2
is at 60. Winn-Dixie Ford.
Let's check in the pits with Kyle Petty. Kyle?
Well, the 29 car on the line wouldn't crank. They said the starter just went bad. It started on the backstretch. They rolled it over here. It wouldn't crank to start the race. He makes the first base lap. He says, hey, guys, I've got no brakes. They said they had plenty of brakes on the backstretch when they brought it around. They get over here. He's having to pump the pedal. It's going to be a long day for Steve Grissom unless the brakes come back, guys.
There's Randy LaJoy in the blue 74 car going by David Green. Hermie Sadler in the 1, the DeWalt car, joins the battle. So David Green dropping back to 8th spot.
Now that's 7th, 8th, and 9th, and there's the leader, Mike McLaughlin.
There's the front 4 cars, a little distance back to the 5th place car of Ricky Craven.
It's the Royal Oak Charcoal car, Mike McLaughlin. Here comes Mark trying to take a look. Cannot get alongside the 3 car, so he'll bide his time.
Yeah, he'll look for a better opportunity than that.
And here's Larry Pearson. You heard Kyle Petty tell you that he started 36th a year ago and worked his way to the front. He started 35th today. He's trying to make a move as he challenges. Look at this gaggle of cars. Back here, Jason Keller right behind Larry Pearson as they are single file. 31st, 32nd, 33rd, 34th, and so forth back in the field. So Pearson has already gained about 4 spots here in the first few laps.
Not bad, because you don't pick off 6 or 8 cars a lap here at Darlington.
Mark Martin looking to the inside. Benny trying to make the move on Jeff Green.
Trying his best to get alongside Jeff. And right now, you got to be patient, guys. Jeff Green showed some patience. He backed off and let Mark Martin go.
And he didn't, Jeff Green didn't try to make a move like his mentor, Dale Earnhardt there. Most of the time when a car passes Dale Earnhardt going into the red slides up, Earnhardt pulls right back under. But I think that is patience, and I think it's smart also for this young man.
Well, Jeff Green definitely needs to finish a race and get a good finish. I think 20th is the best finish he's had this year, so he really needs a good finish and run the entire distance today. All 200 miles. Here's another group of cars led by Chad Little. There's Glenn Allen Jr. Curtis Markham in 63, 10 feet on the 40 car.
It's 20th, 21st, 22nd that they're racing for.
That's Kevin LePage in car number 71. Doesn't have a sponsor in that car. Had a great beginning, great qualifying effort in Daytona for Kevin LePage. Shelburne, Vermont driver. Behind him, the 25, Johnny Rumley, driving for Don Beverly. They also need a sponsor.
And Jerry Cope. That's Jerry Cope in the 26 car. 71 car is currently running in 13th. And there's Stevie Reeves, the clever girl, behind those cars.
Stevie Reeves qualified 16th here in Darlington, was the 4th fastest Ford in the field. They went and bought an engine from Jack Roush, and boy, what a difference having some horsepower made.
Horsepower counts in any kind of racing. And Jack Roush, of course, builds some of the best engines there are in racing.
As you see our Scorlin tower pylon on the left side of the screen, the line between the 2 and 74, that's just to distinguish between 5th and 6th place, nothing else.
There's Mike McLaughlin, Royal Oak Chevy Monte Carlo, as Mark Martin starting to reel him in about 4 car lengths. We'll take a break and come back and see if Martin can reel him in and make the pass in just a moment. Stay with us.
Binoculars, as I was getting ready to clear Terry, I see a red flash go up in the air, and needless to say, I had to take my eyes away from Terry for a little bit, and I watched Kenny turn over and over and over, and I was really, being ahead of this car building thing, and all my guys, we strive for this, so it was really neat to see Kenny hop out of that thing and walk away. This will be all 4 of her pieces now are stuck together.
To Darlington for a Sunday drive on the Super Speedway. The Trans-South Financial 400, tomorrow at 1, only on ESPN.
Back at Darlington Raceway in Darlington, South Carolina, riding along on the roof cam of Dale Jarrett's Band-Aid Ford Thunderbird. Nice shot of Jarrett, who runs in 7th spot. Right in front of him, Randy LaJoie, the car number 74.
Turn 1. Dale Jarrett goes down in the corner. He comes off turn 2. The backstretch here in Darlington. Now he goes into the wide 3 and 4 corner. This corner is wider than 1 and 2. The camera has an advantage on Dale Jarrett. It's seeing much more of the corner than is Dale Jarrett.
Wow, we got close to that wall, it looks to me like.
You always do.
Gotten closer than others. You take a look at those marks all over the wall. You ask the Speedway people why they leave those marks on the wall, they give you a pretty simple answer, right?
Because they want the drivers to respect this place and understand what will happen if you don't respect it.
Well, if they had drivers over the years autograph where they've hit here, there wouldn't be any white left on those walls. It'd be all autographs.
Randy LaJoie, who had a terrible time in Nashville last week. Enjoy the guest on RPM tonight, Monday night, along with myself.
And here's this battle here really heating up 71-25. This 13th, 14th, and 15th is LePage trying to hold off. And look at Terry Labonte, the car number 5.
Move around Derek Cope.
And here's the move that Ned Jerry was talking about. Derek Cope had a notion, Ned.
Yeah, but he decided to just go ahead and follow Terry. He said he's fast enough to pass me. Let me get straightened out and in that position.
Terry Labonte started back in 18th position, now being shown up in 15th spot.
See, Rumley's been able to get by. There we see the 40 and 23. Now this is a tough spot. Mike, careful, Mike. Attaboy.
Backed off, because that could have been trouble. You're almost out of control when you go into that turn.
Smart move on Mike Wallace's part there to back away underneath the John Deere machine. Chad Little.
Just a slight little tap can send you on your way here.
There's Phil Parsons in the 10 car, joined that battle, and there's Steve Grissom that Al Petty was talking about just a moment ago, that the car wouldn't start, didn't have any brakes, but he continues to race out there and race fairly well.
And now Mike Wallace makes the pass. Phil Parsons comes right along with him, and Grissom, as Chad Little wrestling apparently a car that slipped up the racetrack a little bit there in turn 3 and 4.
That's Phil Parsons up to 20th. He's moving up. He started 26th, so he's moving along rather nicely.
Well, what a year Phil Parsons has had. Back-to-back third-place finishes at Atlanta and Nashville. Just surviving Nashville had to be a success.
Boy, it was. What a tough race that was. Curtis Martin trying to close up on the Chad Little automobile.
Curtis currently 3rd in the point standings. Here's a battle. That's for 4th position.
And Ricky Craven, the 2 car, takes it away from Ward Burton. Ricky's been trying to get around Ward Burton for several laps. Finally was able to get positioned down to 1 and 2, get alongside, and out-drag him down the backstretch and take the spot away.
Ricky Craven running on his 2nd Busch Series event of 1996. Brandon Rockingham qualified 4th and finished 4th.
Looks like Mike Dillon and Stanton Barrett about to be lapped by the leader, Mike McLaughlin.
McLaughlin is doing a great job staying out in front of Mark Martin, running a good good pace.
You heard his comment that tire wear may be a concern, at least for the faster cars. How about it, Bill Weber?
Jerry, we'll be watching for that down here today. In fact, when the Busch cars got here on Friday, they were told 2 sets of tires for the race. But after they practiced and qualified, NASCAR added a set. So they have 3 sets that they can change under caution here today. If you are too tight, you will burn up the left front and maybe even the left rear. And of course, you don't want to be loose at this racetrack, so you have to find almost the perfect setup. Jeff Green, the pole sitter, is radioed in, and his car is tight. Points leader David Green also reporting his car is tight. Mark Martin's crew chief Bobby Leslie told me in the drivers' meeting this morning, they loosened up Mark's car just to save the tires. They know Mark can hang on to it, so his car is a little looser with that setup. And that setup, by the way, is the same thing that he's going to run on his Winston Cup car, at least until this race is over.
As the car is too tight, you wonder, well, why is the left front wearing out? And you think that the right front would wear out if the car is pushing or it's too tight. The problem is when the car here is really tight and you can't turn it off the corner, it's dragging that left front across the surface, and it's basically like sandpaper, just taking the rubber right off that tire.
We showed a few years ago how a cheese grater would just grate down a block of cheese. That's what happens to that rubber on the tire, just scraping up across the racetrack.
And that was the concern that everyone had in the Busch garage area. Was the cars are just too tight. They're really having trouble getting the cars loosened up. They really don't know why, but they're having all the team members, crew chiefs, complaining about a really tight race car.
There's Stevie Reeves, the car number 96, and then he's being shown in 17th spot.
Mike Wallace in 18th position.
There's Shane Hall in the white number 85. Chuck Bound in the 50 car.
That's 37th and 38th.
And there we see Jeff Purvis has fallen back from his top 10 starting spot all the way back there, just trying to ride around, wait for a caution flag to put Sterling Marlin in the car, and then he's about to be left. The leader's right behind him.
Yeah, the leader's coming up on him in a hurry there. And that's one thing they was hoping to avoid was to let him down before he could get Sterling Marlin in the car.
If you just joined us, Jeff Purvis broke 2 ribs underneath his right arm in a violent impact at Nashville, Tennessee, which moved the steering wheel over 2 feet and actually shoved the right side door bars in about a foot. Now, he's driving the car number 4 in a lot of pain. He has a flak jacket, but they have Sterling Marlin standing by. There is Sterling in the pits waiting. The winner of the Trans-South 400 last spring was the Supplement. As we take a look at Dale Jarrett, he apparently is falling back somewhat.
Yeah, he's losing back. He's back to 8th and about to lose that position to Dick Trickle now in the Dura Lube car number 64. Jarrett's car seems to be pushing very strong, especially off of turn 2. I've been noticing it along with several other cars. Here's Michael Waltrip. Michael coming up there on Jarrett, down on the inside. Jarrett moves up, gives him room, and lets Michael go. So Michael he started in the 15th position. Now he's all the way up to 9th.
Darlington Raceway, the Dura Lube 200, 147 laps, 200 miles. Qualifying re-air 11 a.m. Eastern on the Deuce. RPM today at noon Eastern. Kenny Mayne and Company. NASCAR today, Dave Despain, etc. Simulcast, ESPN and ESPN2 at 12:30. Now, how about a full lunch? That's going to be flag-to-flag coverage of the Trans-South Financial 400 Winston Cup event. That's at 1 o'clock. And let's round it up. Denny's getting excited up here. Round it up with dinner Sunday night. RPM tonight, rounding up all the motorsports action from around the world. 8 o'clock Eastern.
There we see Jeff Green has been able to get by Mark Martin, and now Martin is trying to get back by him. He's in the 3 abreast. Oh, baby. And Jeff Green, and he does hit the wall. Oh, man, he really needed a good run. And he's very, very slow. I don't know if he's injured the car, damaged the car so badly will not be able to continue.
A lot of cars bunching up behind him.
There's Dale Jarrett going by, Warren Burton going by on the high side. Did a heck of a job just hanging on to that race car.
Yes, it looked like he was going to lose the car and spin in front of all those cars coming up behind him.
Well, here's what happened. He came up on Patty Louise, and down on the inside was Jeff Green. He was trying to pass Mark Martin, saw an opening down on the inside. He slipped in there, slipped into Jeff Green, got him loose, and he brushed the wall just a little bit on the outside.
Kind of looks like what I did when I started on the pole here at Darlington back in the 80s, Ned. Hit the wall in about the same spot right there on the first lap, though. Man, that's a tough break for Jeff Green. And it looked like from that other angle, Ned, that he hit the wall fairly hard, and we'll have some suspension damage to that car.
But to his credit, he did a heck of a job to get on the brakes and not take Patty Louise out, who's also driving with an injury. You see his best finish of this year, 20th of Rockingham, and trying to improve on that today. Does have some damage on that right front fender. Let's check in with Kyle Petty.
Well, Dale Earnhardt's fighting for him. And Dale said that the side of the car looks fine. There's not the key to Mike on the radio. Quit talking, just drive it. That's what he would do with it. So I think when your boss man tells you that, that's what you got to do, and that's what he's doing right now.
it looks like he's back up to speed and going pretty well, but he had to ride gingerly there for a couple of laps, not knowing if there was sheet metal rubbing a tire or something like that.
And he is once again on the back of Patty Moise.
Caught back up to her. He is currently being shown in the 12th position.
The 49 car, Stan Barrett, is a lap down the Petro Express car, but there comes Terry Labonte, the next car for position. There's Terry Labonte, the yellow and red car.
Terry, of course, running in 13th.
Behind them would be Derek Cope in 14th. There's Mike McLaughlin, the car number 34. Clyde McLeod prepared machine. Chevy Monte Carlo, Royal Oak sponsorship on that car. Great looking machine. Stands out that bright red and yellow on the side. Former NASCAR Modified Series national champion back in 1988.
Jeff Purvis is headed into the pits.
Just couldn't stand it anymore.
Yeah, and he was hoping to be able to come in and make a driver change under caution, but the caution has not come out. So he's coming in under green, and Bill Weber is headed down towards you.
And he's really gutted it out. 34-plus laps now. I saw him in his rig this morning. It hurt me just to watch him try and sit up. Jeff Purvis slowly crawls on the pit road. This will be 4 cars, 1 driver, and a lot of fuel for the 4 cars. It's going to take a little while for Jeff to climb out. Sterling Marlin standing by is going to help him. When Jeff went to the doctor asked him, when did you break your ribs before? And Jeff said, I never have. And the doctor looked at the x-rays and goes, oh, yes, you have. So Purvis is out, looks to be okay. Sterling climbs in. They continue the pit stop, working on the left side tires. But on fresh rubber, they really wanted a caution to try and protect their driver team and their position in the points. Sterling Marlin will fall several laps down here while they buckle him in. A crewman in through the right side window. The NASCAR official watching to make sure Sterling's properly buckled in. They have a pair of gloves for him if he wants it. Now the window net is up, waiting for the jack to fall. He does want the gloves. They're going to slip them into him through the right side window. Painfully long time. The jack is down. Sterling's away. Lap 36. Purvis out of the car. Okay, we'll get you an update.
That driver change is complete. We watched this move out on the racetrack as Randy LaJoie loses a couple of spots.
Dick Trickle, the 64 cars, moved in to 5th spot. Michael Waltrip in 6th. That bumps LaJoie back to 7th.
And up ahead of those, Hermie Sadler is running his 4th place. Hermie started back in the 11th position, so he is one driver that's on the move in the DeWalt Tools Chevrolet.
There's a look at Hermie Sadler, 1993 Rookie of the Year. It was 6.1 seconds back, Vinny. Now he's trimmed it down.
Yes, he's gained 0.3 of a second. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but he's going the right direction. He's getting closer, and we see he's closed up right on the back bumper of the 3rd place car. That's Ricky Craven, the 2 car.
That's Chuck Bound, the lap car in front of Craven, the car number 50.
Goes down to the inside, Bound gives some room. His car is working well. He's moving right along.
As we watch this, we see that Mark Martin has closed up almost on the back bumper of Mike McLaughlin. Then it was a half straightaway just a few laps ago, and now it's just a few car lengths.
Well, McLaughlin was really running hard, and maybe, as far as his tires were concerned, maybe a little bit too hard, and he's got them heated up and worn down, and Martin maybe saved his. I don't know if that's the case or not, but it sort of appears that way as they come up on more lap traffic.
We talked at the top of the show, there was a lot of concern about that left front tire, and after about 40 laps, we began to see who had the best chassis and who didn't, because those tires would really go away. We have now completed 40 laps of 147, so now that tire strategy and chassis setup will really come into play.
The 43 car, Rodney Combs, directly in front of the leader, Mike McLaughlin. In front of him is Bobby Daughter in the white number 55. Both those cars wanting their darndest to stay on the lead lap.
Now be patient here, Mike. Don't do anything. Don't look up in your rearview mirror and see Mark Martin coming and do something that you wish you hadn't later.
But Rodney Combs racing down that backstretch, and Mike McLaughlin could not get position.
stay in the lead lap. He is being shown in 34th position.
105 laps remaining here in the Dura Lube 200 at Darlington Raceway. And since lap number 3, our leader has been...
And the youngest saddler, Elliott, crashed in Martinsville last week in the late model stock race and destroyed his car. Going in the corner net, broke a brake rotor.
Boy,
here comes Hermie on the inside. Looks like he does have that position.
Yeah, Craven will back off and let him have it going into the turn.
That's for third spot, so Sadler is third. McLaughlin, the leader. Mark Martin in second spot. That is third and fourth. Now back in fifth spot is the car 64. That's the red car, right side of your screen. There's Jeff Fuller's machine. There's 64. Then a Shoemaker-owned Dura Lube machine.
And Michael Waltrip continues towards the front in the 12 car, MW Windustar. I was told that Dennis Shoemaker's wife is in the hospital.
Take a look at Michael Waltrip, started 15th, showing he's up in sixth spot at lap 44. You're right, Benny. Monica Shoemaker had surgery this week. She's watching back home, watching the Busch Series race. They're trying to dedicate this race to her and a speedy recovery. So a good run by Dick Trickle in the Dennis Shoemaker-owned machine thus far.
Let's see what's happening back at the front. Has Mark Martin caught the 34 car Mike McLaughlin? Not quite.
They've been in some heavy traffic for the last few laps, Benny, but they picked their way through there pretty easily. And McLaughlin leading the way.
Once again, that's Bobby Dotter in the white number 55.
Now there's, sorry, Benny, there's Mark Martin, but you were going to say the same thing. Look at the one car.
He is now 3.2 seconds behind. He was 6.1 just, 10 laps ago, so 3 seconds. The Hermie Sadler has closed in on the leader of the race, Mike McLaughlin.
And while we're watching this battle, Michael Waltrip has taken over fifth from Dick Trickle. Made the pass up between turns 3 and 4. There they are.
Yes, it is. And Jeff Fuller goes by Patty Moise.
Jeff is last year's Rookie of the Year in the car number 47. He's being shown a lap down.
And back once again to the leaders down in turn 1 and 2. And Will McLaughlin, those guys are really getting through that first and second corner. He dives to the inside of Dotter. And here comes Hermie Sadler still. Looks like he's closing in ever so slightly on the lead. All right, Michael McLaughlin finally was able to get by the 55 car.
Now there are 32 cars on the lead lap.
I hesitate to say this, but we have been caution-free thus far. 49 laps of green flag racing. As McLaughlin gets a little dicey, trying to get to the outside of Joe Bessie.
All right, here now Mark Martin has finally got a really good run. But again, I don't think Mark wants to force the issue right now. He's a very... Oh, trouble right in front of him. Jeremy Randall pulled off from Joe Bessie. Around he goes in the wall.
No caution. No caution.
And Mayfield's car is still limping, and we have not seen the yellow flag. The car is still rolling, so the caution will not come out as they are watching for any fluid from beneath that car. No sheet metal coming off, no debris, and we will stay green.
Man.
Mayfield was running in the 31st position, about to go a lap down. Now we do have caution on the track. Apparently some debris from the 98 car.
So first caution flag of the day is Jeremy Mayfield's crippled Ford Thunderbird. Heads back to pit road, getting a little tap from behind, coming out of turn 4. Take a look once again.
That's Joe Bessie in the 9 cars. They come off the corner. I said there was a little bump net. I don't know. It's so difficult to tell if Bessie, in fact, got into the 98 car. It looks like he's, the way that the 98 jerked around, that there should have been contact. But
yeah, I would say that he probably did, but we'll take another look at it and see. Yeah, it looks like right there that he did make contact with him, and it was a very critical place on the racetrack, and it sent Mayfield around.
First caution flag of today flies here at Darlington, South Carolina. Pit stops will become the order of the day. We'll come back and cover those. In-car camera riding along with Dale Jarrett. And take a look at the view down on the floorboard. it can get very, very hot down there for a driver, particularly with regard to his feet. So let's take a look at one of our ESPN track facts with Bill Weber. How hot can it get? Track facts are brought to you by Quaker Safe, the motor oil that exceeds the highest standards for engine protection.
Tim Feeder has been limping around the Busch Series garage this weekend. It's not because you twisted an ankle playing basketball. You burned your heel last week at Nashville.
Yeah, we sure did. So, last week I went up to one of the trailers, parts trailers, and come up with a blister resistor. It's a heat shield that goes around your heel, and hopefully it'll help prevent any further blisters this week.
Now show us how that works, Tim.
Just simply put it around your ankle and strap it on and get in the car, and it just acts as a shield, a heat shield, to hopefully hold some of the heat out.
And I bet you wish you'd bought it last week.
Yeah, we sure did. It's kind of like one of the brand commercials, pay me now or pay me later.
Well, it's not only safety, but comfort on Tim Feeder's mind this week here at Darlington.
And you know what I used to use for insulation on my heels? A styrofoam coffee cup. Really? Taped to my shoes. Worked pretty well.
And you probably sold that cup to Phil. Getting set for green flag racing action. First caution for the day. Jeremy Mayfield getting the brunt of that spin. His car tagging the wall coming out of turn 4 after the car possibly taking an air off, maybe a little bump from behind. But anyway, Mayfield's car has made it back to the back pit area. And they're working on Jeremy's car. Some front end damage back there. You see the crew now working on that machine. Ford Thunderbird. Mike McLaughlin's car number 34, Royal Oak Chevy. Gets ready to lead them down before a tremendous crowd. Beautiful day, and what a crowd.
Fans are on their feet. Folks, get up. We're fixing to have the green flag. Get up.
Five-lap caution. Back to green flag action on lap 57.
Now, the last time we saw him bench just before the caution came out, after if he did indeed get into Jeremy Mayfield, he was still in front of the leaders. Well, he got lapped before they threw the caution, so Joe is one lap down now for his fans out there, might be wondering. And this 4 car here, he is being shown 3 laps down. That, of course, the 4 car started by Jeff Purvis. Sterling Marlin got in to relieve him on a green flag pit stop.
Now that everyone's been on pit road, had a chance to change 4 tires and make adjustments, and we'll see who can get these cars dialed in. McLaughlin getting a lot of pressure from Mark Martin, but that's the Purvis car with Sterling Marlin back there, as Ned said, 3 laps down. He'd like to be able to unlap himself, but he doesn't want to create a problem for the front 2 guys either.
Martin, we saw how close he was getting out of the pits a moment ago to the 2 car of Ricky Craven. I'm told that there was slight contact. I'm sorry, the 99 car of Glenn Allen. There was some slight damage to the right front of Mark Martin's car. So, but I don't see where the sheet metal is rubbing the tire. I see no smoke from sheet metal where the tire's rubbing. So, evidently it's nothing serious.
See Michael Waltrip, the car number 12 back here, the NW Windows machine.
Michael all the way up to 3rd now. He's having a great run here today. Must have had a good pit stop along with his march up through the field.
And then one guy who had a terrible pit stop was Randy LaJoy. Was running 8th in the Fina car when he came in. Now, when on the restart, he was in 20th place.
I'm sure they made some major adjustments on his car. He had began to fall back. He made a good run towards the front, and then he dropped back. Mark Martin really looking for a place to pass.
Oh, Martin had a move on the inside and backed out of it.
And let Sterling Marlin get on the inside. Martin actually drove his car on the apron of the racetrack there and almost lost control. He had to get off the throttle when he did. Sterling Marlin in that 4 car blew by him.
And now,
doesn't need to worry about the 4 car right now. If he goes on and passes the leader, that still would leave him 2 laps down.
And what about our pole sitter, Jeff Green? Let's look for the 3 car, Goodrich Chevy. And he's being shown back in there. His 16th spot.
And still appears to be running okay. Boy, he had a close call. Running behind Steve Grissom there. Grissom running in the 15th position.
And the 43 car just a couple laps ago nearly tagged the wall in 3, and this time Rodney Combs did get it coming out of turn 1.
Oh, here we are, 3 abreast now.
Careful, guys.
And girls, yeah, that's Patty in the 14 car. Glenn Allen in the 99 car. Lux there, and the black one right behind Patty Moise. Let's watch and see. Going down the corner, we see Rodney Combs going the corner. Might have been some contact between Rodney and the 25 car. Just, once again, slight contact, but that's all it takes.
Boy, nice job by Rodney to hang on to that Lance Chevrolet. He's still trying to wrestle with that car on the outer groove of the racetrack.
Now, Sterling Marlin has backed off, gotten out of the way of those guys up there battling for the lead.
Ricky Craven now has joined the fray. See Craven right side of your screen. He is the 4th place car. The DuPont Chevrolet. Qualified 4th, finished 4th at Rockingham. This race reminds you a lot of Rockingham. We had McLaughlin and Martin finish 1st and 2nd. They just reversed the order here right now for these cars as they're running 1st and 2nd. Martin the winner at Rockingham with McLaughlin in 2nd spot.
I was told at Randy LaJoie, when they changed tires, they glue the lug nuts, the new lug nuts on the rim. And I was told when LaJoie made his pit stop that all the lug nuts fell off and they had to by hand put them on there. And all it takes is 3 or 4 seconds, and you'd go from 8th to 20th. You lose 12 spots. Ooh, Martin about missed a corner there as he came off turn 4.
Working on him, but you gotta.
Oh, here he goes. McLaughlin keeps coming down the hill and running on the apron of the racetrack, and we see Michael Walter trying to get alongside Mark.
And is Mark going to back off going into the turn? Michael has to.
Here comes Ricky Craven now. Michael thought that Ricky was going to go by him. That's one reason he was a little bit lower in the car. And there comes Hermie Sadler, the 1 car on the inside of Sterling Marlin.
And he's gaining on these leaders. Hermie was caught back there in some traffic and had a slow pit stop. And some of these guys up here, not a bad pit stop, but he did lose a little position. He's catching them back.
Front 4 cars on your screen. Mike McLaughlin, 34. Mark Martin, the 60. The 12 of Michael Waltrip. The 2 of Ricky Craven. And now Martin will try once again down the front stretch.
They about trying to keep them wrecking each other, Ned.
They sure did. He might have him this time. Yeah, he does. And here comes Michael Waltrip. He's got to run. Is he going to be able to get on the inside of Mark? No, he's going to follow Mark into the turn. And here goes Craven. So McLaughlin falls all the way back to 4th.
This is the 10th straight Busch Grand National race that Mark Martin has led here at Darlington Raceway. A 4-time winner. As Martin, our new leader here in the Dura Lube 200. We'll be back.
In trouble, Jerry. There's Dale Jarrett and Terry Labonte as they come off the corner. And there goes Todd Bodine just by Dale Jarrett. Very close call. Let's see from inside Dale Jarrett's car. Down in turn 1. No contact between Dale and Terry LeBlanc. And we see Jarrett in the pits changing 4 tires. And Hermie Sadler's car had been smoking. Also came in. Kyle Petty, what's going on with Hermie Sadler?
Hermie's car's overheating and pumping water out. Dale might have got in some water. There could be some water on the racetrack. This is a characteristic of Darlington. This is a characteristic of the tires. If you remember down here a couple of years ago when they run the High Rock race, they had to stop the race halfway through to clean the grills and fill the cars back up with water. Last year in the Western Cup race, they dropped like flies in the last 100 laps because their grills filled up with the tires the way the tires wear. That's what's wrong with Hermie. His grill is full of rubber. They can't get it out. They're trying to beat it out, but his car's already overheating and he's having a problem.
Well, you saw from that camera position, Dale Jarrett's car just abruptly veered to the outside. There was no contact, so maybe he did hit some water, as Kyle Petty was saying. Once again, there's a view again of the Band-Aid Ford Thunderbird just slipped around sideways. Watch Todd Bodine's car just miss the front. Well, maybe about 6 or 7 feet, but that's close enough for me anyway.
Hey, close enough, I guarantee you. Once again, we'll look from the in-car camera on Dale Jarrett's car, the Band-Aid camera. This is Matt on the rear bumper. Watch as it go down the corner. You'll see there's no contact.
Then all of a sudden, the back end
Curran just slips around. Dale Jarrett is out of the pit. In turn 2 by Dale Jarrett, apparently hitting some water that may have come out of one of the cars. Speculation that Hermie Sadler's car is smoking and overheating, may have pushed some water out. Not really sure yet, but Dale Jarrett's car looped around, brought the caution flag out. And we are back to green flag racing here on lap number 74.
Car, the MBNA car. Tim Feedway in the blue and yellow red car coming up behind the white. There we see Phil Parsons going by Mike Dillon, the Detroit Gasket Dillon car, the Channel Lock car, Phil Parsons. Shane Hall in these white 85s, very, very high down in 1 and 2.
To watch our field summary, we'll let you know that Dale Jarrett, despite that spin, did not lose a lap. He is being shown on the lead lap back in 24th position.
There we see Jeff Green, our pole sitter, and Hermie Sadler. Looks like the day is over. And whoa, rumble! Mike McLaughlin, turn 2. Look out, and still they're crashing behind as we're watching Hermie Sadler.
Tim Feedway in the wall also. McLaughlin's car, hard impact. The Royal Oak Chevy looped it around. There's the Feedway car, the 40 car, right side of your screen. He comes down across the racetrack.
Hermie Sadler came into the pits. He's going back out right now, but he was headed into the pits.
That's almost the same spot where Dale Jarrett spun just a few moments ago, coming off turn 2.
And there we see some heavy, heavy damage, as you said, Jerry, to Mike McLaughlin's car. The right side is perfect, but he spun around and caught him with the left side, both the front and rear. Here we go. As we come off the corner, there we see McLaughlin go up and just smack the wall. As he comes off the wall, all these cars, fortunately, are able to get by, but in the back, Tim Feedway, I don't know if someone ran the back or whatever, but Feedway we see coming into the crash.
I would guess he slowed down, braked, because he knew there's problems up there and someone else didn't see it, probably hit him. There it is again. He spins around, hits the outside wall with the left side.
That was Dick Trickle, the next car right behind Mike McLaughlin. It was a pretty wide shot, whether it was, there's Mike McLaughlin. And the leaders are on pit road.
Let's go down to Bill Weber in the Mark Martin pit. Bill?
77 laps gone by. This could be Mark's final scheduled pit stop. They will fuel it to the top and then send him the rest of the way. 4 tires for the Winn-Dixie 4. They have the right sides on. Steve Grissom pits behind him. They come around, swing around to the left-hand side. They'll bolt on 2 more Goodyears, and Mark will be set for a run to the finish. Glenn Allen slides by in front of him. No trouble this time. Mark is down. The Winn-Dixie car on its way, chased by Michael Waltrip, the 22 of Ward Burton, and Ricky Freeman also returning to the race.
Great pit work by Bobby Leslie and the Winn-Dixie crew in the Mark Martin efforts as they get that car in and out. Here's the Jeff Green car now leaving. The Goodyear Chevy was our pole sitter. There's the car number 3 exiting pit road. 77 laps complete. This is the reason for the caution flag. Hard impact by one of our early leaders, Mike McLaughlin. Watch it once again.
There's another situation. It was hard to tell if there's any contact between the 2 cars as they came off the turn.
And while the safety crews are there to attend to the race car, you saw that Mike McLaughlin was okay. He leaped over the pit wall and headed back to pit road. We'll be back on
the Dale Jarrett. All right, here we go. You can't do that.
No, you got to stay in line when you cross that start-finish line.
And Bobby Donner got a terrible, terrible start. He got the world jammed up behind him.
And he was down on the inside where the leaders were. In Busch competition, the leaders start down on the inside on a restart.
Jason Keller blowing by Chad. Looked like Chad Little having trouble getting up to speed.
Wow, he's slow.
He is very, very slow. As a matter of fact, he's on the apron of the racetrack.
He almost spun out when you get down on that apron there, regardless of the speed you lose traction. He almost did.
I was seeing Mark Martin 40 car lengths behind the leader of Dale Jarrett there. Jarrett is trying to get by Rodney Combs.
Now, Combs is still being shown on the lead lap as the last car in 28th spot. He's trying to hang on. Here's Kevin LePage trying to get his lap back.
And he does, and Dale Jarrett comes back on the inside. Now, that's the Earnhardt move that Ned Jarrett was talking about earlier.
Yep, his spotter told Jarrett, says back off car on the inside, so he just hit the brakes, let him slide in there, and drove right back under. That's a pretty move here at Darlington. We've watched Earnhardt do it so many times. Now Jarrett moves around Rodney Combs, and Rodney goes high in the second turn. David Green still running second.
Dale Jarrett, our leader, the Band-Aid Ford Thunderbird, two-time winner here at Darlington. Once in the spring, back in 1991, also won during the fall event, Labor Day weekend.
Now, the fans might wonder, well, Dale Jarrett, we saw him in the pits a little bit. We saw him spin out. He went in the pits. How's he leading the race? Well, the caution worked to his advantage because he did make that pit stop, put on 4 tires, and then when the other caution came out, everybody came into the pits that was in front of him on the lead lap, and so that put him in the lead. Sometimes it works out. Not often you get that kind of a break, but sometimes you do.
Got to wonder how many of these drivers are going to try to stretch it. If we don't get a caution flag, they would have to go 70 laps from that last pit stop. That's almost 96 miles.
And Dale Jarrett will have to go 7 laps more than the others because that's when his pit stop was made, so that will be stretching it quite a bit.
We see Mark Martin 2.6 seconds behind Dale Jarrett. We'll see him there. We see Jarrett behind Chuck Bound.
Chuck is the 26th place driver being shown in the lead lap, right at the tail end of the lead lap, of course.
I saw the 95 car slow down in turn 1 a couple of laps ago, and I wondered about it. And I'm told that an ignition box died, and he had to switch ignitions, and the car is now back up to speed. But it was a scary moment, and there he is again. It was a scary moment just a moment ago for the points leader in the Busch Series, David Green.
And he's being passed by Ward Burton at 22, and now Bobby Lamani, who won last week at Nashville, goes by. Green keeps being shuffled back. Talking about that Caterpillar machine, number 95, being shuffled back in position. David was second when the green flag came out on the restart. He is now in 8th spot.
1.5 seconds now between Dale Jarrett and Mark Martin. Here's Jarrett trying his best to get on the inside of Bound. And there we see Mark Martin has Kevin LePage between he and the leader, Dale Jarrett.
Mark Martin won at Rockingham. This is the same car Dale Jarrett had at Rockingham, and it was just flipping through the field, reeling people in. And you see Michael Waltrip and Jason Keller now making a move.
That was 3rd place that Michael just took over from Jason Keller.
Now, Jason Keller stopped when Dale Jarrett did, so he's got that same distance to run. Martin really closing it down now. Jarrett's still having trouble getting around Chuck Bound.
And Mark has been able to get by Kevin LePage, and Dale just cannot get on the inside of Chuck Bound. But Chuck trying his best to stay in the lead lap. And meanwhile, they've got some traffic in front of them. Looks like Stevie Reeves and the 49 car of Stanton Barrett.
And a report from Dale Jarrett's pits is that Jarrett has told crew chief John Irvin that he is too tight. The car has a serious push, and that's would explain why he's having trouble getting by Chuck Bound.
Yeah, if you don't have a car that will turn down under someone when you get up to them, then it's awfully difficult to make a pass on this racetrack.
And now he's on the inside of Chuck Bound. And we'll see Chuck. There he is. He goes by.
Ooh, Mark Martin got loose down on the inside of Chuck Bound coming off of turn 2. That's going to cost him just a little bit of time. Now Chuck moves out of the way and lets Mark go. And they touch a little bit.
As Martin is able to get by the Chuck Bound car, one car that was up front for a number of laps. Mike McLaughlin is now standing with Kyle Petty.
Well, Mike, you guys ran incredible today. You jumped out front. You led Mark Martin like we hadn't seen anybody lead Mark Martin in a long time. You get caught out. 2 or 3 cars go by you, and then all of a sudden this happens. What happened out there?
Well, it's just, I was turned around coming out of turn 2. There's nothing you can do about it. I just feel bad for everybody involved. We've got a great team here. We've had some good runs this year. great sponsor with Royal Oak Charcoal and Jackaroo Barbie Sauce, but we haven't been able to put the finishes together, and that's what it takes to win a championship. But we'll just put it all together, go to Bristol. That's all you can do.
Well, I tell you what, if these guys run like they run here today, you're going to hear from them before the end of the year.
So he answers the question. There was contact between McLaughlin and Dick Trickle over in turn 2.
Mike McLaughlin currently 17th in the Busch Series point standings. Dale Jarrett, our leader here at Darlington.
And the leader, Jarrett, now has caught Stevie Reeves in the Clabber Girl car. And Stevie, another car that's...
Well, he's 1 lap down already, Benny, about to go 2 laps down. He's being shown in the 35th position.
Mark Martin had actually caught Dale Jarrett about 5 laps ago, but then Martin's car slipped, as Benny said, coming off turn 2, and he lost about 6 or 7 car lengths, and that's where it's basically been.
Michael Walker is 3rd. Ricky Craven is 4th, and Jason Keller is 5th.
Bobby Lamonti 6th, Ward Burton 7th, and Terry Lamonti 8th. Good run by Steve Grissom, who had that trouble early on that Kyle Petty reported. He is now being shown in the top 10 at 9th with Jeff Green, our pole sitter, in 10th spot.
Now we see the battle for 3rd spot between Michael Waltrip, the 12 car, M.W. Windlass, and the DuPont car of Ricky Craven, the 2. Both these Worcester Cup drivers, but both these drivers own their own vehicles. Ricky's owned the Busch car for a couple of years. This is Michael's first year. He and Ronnie Silver started his team and are doing quite well.
Michael, one of the 12 winners we've had here at Busch competition over the years, as now Mark Martin within a car length of Dale Jarrett. Take a look at our AutoZone race recap. Leader is Jarrett, has led 19 of the 97 laps thus far. There have been 6 lead changes, 3 cautions for 15 laps. In fact, Jarrett with one of the caution flags, average speed 126.904 miles per hour. Our leaders have been, of course, Mike McLaughlin, who's led 64 laps. Jarrett, our current leader. Martin, Jeff Green, Phil Parsons. And rounding out our leaders is Nathan Bucky, who led 1 lap under caution. Out of race thus far in AutoZone, Jeremy Mayfield involved in the spin, the first caution of the day. Mike McLaughlin, the 3rd caution flag today, and Herbie Sadler, who Kyle Petty spoke to just a moment ago.
Jeff Green, their pole sitter, in the black number 3 car. Remember, he had that contact with Martin as he came off the 2nd corner. He's worked his way back up to 10th place. There we see the 10 car, Phil Parsons, the blue car, closes in on the back bumper off Derek Coates, and David Green, the 95 car. Started up about 4th spot. He is the current Busch Series points leader, is at 95, the Cat car.
And how about Larry Pearson? Remember, he won this race a year ago, started 3rd.
And Patty Moise. No caution, but Green's hopes of finally getting a good run on the books was shot. By this time, Mike McLaughlin had taken over up front, and his Royal Oak Charcoal Chevy was the dominant car throughout the early going. But just past the halfway point, McLaughlin had dropped back to 4th when he got turned around, slammed the wall, and was out of the race. With McLaughlin gone, pre-race favorite Mark Martin was the one to watch. The Winn-Dixie driver had already taken over the lead, but he turned it over to Dale Jarrett under the yellow, then had to chase the 32 back down. It didn't take long, and Martin was back in the lead with just under 40 laps to go. But it was the last 15 circuits that were the most exciting. On lap 133, Larry Pearson got into Chad Little. The 2 drivers did a tango and wiped out several other cars. Then just after the restart on lap 140, Phil Parsons pulled a couple of pirouettes. Amazingly, everyone managed to miss him, and there was no caution. Finally, on the white flag lap, it was Martin, Michael Waltrip, and Terry Labonte going for broke when Doug Hebron grabbed the wall and held on. The 3 leaders made it a mad dash through traffic back to the checkers, with Martin